We're going to replace the front turn signal bulbs with LED bulbs on this 2017 Suburban. The turn signals use 7440 bulbs. The bulbs are accessed under the hood. Starting on the driver's side, this is the front turn signal. This is the socket assembly for the front turn signal. The left turn socket is very difficult to reach. It helps to have small hands. You have to be extremely careful not to knock the bulb out of the socket. If this happens, you may spend hours trying to get the bulb out of the headlight assembly. We tried removing additional hardware that blocks access to that left turn signal, but it ended up being more challenging than we expected. Pull the bulb out of the socket and press the new bulb into the socket. Make sure the new bulb makes a tight, solid fit. Otherwise, when you go to replace this socket, the bulb may fall out and you'll lose it in the headlight assembly. This will be extremely difficult to retrieve. Very carefully insert the turn signal socket assembly back into the headlight assembly and turn clockwise to lock it in place. Moving to the passenger side, this is the front turn signal. This is the engine air filter assembly. It blocks access to the bulbs on the right side of the vehicle, so it has to be removed. Loosen this screw to remove the air intake hose from the air filter assembly. 4 screws have to be removed from the air filter cover. Here, 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 and here. Loosen the hose clamp screw. Remove the 4 cover bolts. Pry the air intake hose from the filter cover. Remove the filter cover. Remove the air filter. Remove the bottom half of the air filter housing. There's a protective cover in front of the bulb access. It has 4 fasteners holding it in place. This one has already been removed. Another one here. This one has also been removed. And this fastener is also used for cable retention. Use a pry tool to remove any fasteners. There are additional fasteners, but we found it easier to just fold the protective cover down and put something on top of it to keep it out of the way. This is the socket assembly for the front turn signal. The right side turn signal socket is a lot easier to access than the left side, but you still need to be very careful not to lose the light bulb in the headlight assembly. Pull the bulb out of the socket and press the new bulb into the socket. Make sure the new bulb makes a tight, solid fit. Otherwise, when you go to replace this socket, the bulb may fall out and you'll lose it in the headlight assembly. Very carefully insert the turn signal socket assembly back into the headlight assembly and turn clockwise to lock it in place. Some LED bulbs are polarized, so it's a good idea to test the bulbs in case you have them in backwards. An easy way to test the lights is with the hazard button on the top of the steering column. The hazard lights will not test for hyper flashing. At some point, you should test with the blinkers to make sure that hyper flashing is not a problem before you button everything up. Replace the protective cover and engage any fasteners. The bottom cover of the air filter housing has 3 posts. They go into 1 slot and 2 holes. Install the bottom cover of the air filter housing. Put the air filter back into the housing. Install the top cover of the air filter housing. Attach the air intake hose to the top cover of the air filter housing. Install the 4 screws to the top cover of the air filter housing. And tighten the clamp for the air intake hose. Here you can see the original incandescent bulb on the right and the new LED bulb on the left. While it's not very obvious in the video, the LED bulb is a little bit brighter than the incandescent bulb. The LED bulb also turns on and off much quicker, whereas the incandescent bulb ramps up and ramps down in brightness as it turns on and off. The body control module monitors the turn signal lights. We're going to show you what that means and what you do about it. Here you can see a normal blink rate and no error displayed on the driver information display. Here you can see a turn blinker failure on the driver information display and a fast blinking rate. The fast blinking rate is also commonly referred to as hyper flashing. To prevent errors from showing up on the driver display and hyper flashing, you need to get LED bulbs that have a load resistor built in, or you need to install a load resistor separately from the bulb. So why would you get any other bulb? Well, LED bulbs with built-in load resistors get very hot, and maybe you found the perfect bulb in terms of brightness, configuration of LEDs, size of the bulb, but it isn't available in an error-free version. We're going to show you a couple different ways to install load resistors in case you want to use LED bulbs that require them. One way to install load resistors is by modifying the turn signal socket assembly. You can see 2 contacts that are used to electrically connect the bulb to the headlight assembly. Here you can see a socket assembly that's cut away, next to a socket assembly that has been unmodified. The purpose of the cutaway is to show you where the contacts are located inside the assembly so that you can modify the assembly to make the connections necessary. Note this feature here. This is a center line of the socket assembly. This is also a center line of the socket assembly. So we'll take measurements from that center line and also from the bottom edge. You can see that about a half a centimeter from the center line is the beginning of a conductor on each side. In the other direction, the internal conductors of the socket assembly are about 1.5 centimeters from the edge of the socket assembly. With those measurements, you can use a drill or Dremel tool to carefully remove plastic from the socket assembly and expose the conductors, whereby you can solder wires onto the conductors. Once complete, you can use an outdoor silicone sealant to make your modification weatherproof. Another way to attach load resistors is through the headlight assembly cable. You can remove this electrical tape and pull the wires that you need through this slit. This blue wire with the white stripe is the turn signal wire. This black wire is the neutral wire. The load resistor is connected across these two wires. We're going to show you how to splice a load resistor into an existing cable harness in case you want to use LEDs that aren't error-free. You can splice the load resistor anywhere in the circuit, but closer to the bulb socket is usually easier. Open the splice with a screwdriver. Press the wire against the splice opening while removing the screwdriver. Make sure the wire is loose in the splice and not being pinched. Open the splice with a screwdriver. Press the wire against the splice opening while removing the screwdriver. Make sure the wire is loose in the splice and not being pinched. This is the load resistor that we are splicing in. Insert the wire into the splice. Press the metal tab with a pair of pliers until it is flush with the plastic housing. Close the plastic cover tab. Insert the wire into the splice. Press the metal tab with a pair of pliers until it is flush with the plastic housing. Close the plastic cover tab. This is an error-free LED bulb that we used during the installation. This is another LED bulb that we tested. It requires load resistors. We also tested this error-free LED bulb, but it occasionally gave us hyper flashing, especially on hot days. It also fit very loose in the socket. You would definitely lose this bulb in the headlight assembly. View the description for the specific parts that we used in this video. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share, and check out our other interesting videos on a number of different topics.